Welcome back to the Pot of Greed.
It's right, another week. More Yu-Gi-Oh, more games.
More AI?
Maybe.
Maybe.
So, a bit of a quick recap. We actually went to an anime convention this past weekend.
Yeah.
Anime Frontier in Texas. Really fun trip.
Yeah, saw a lot of fans.
Yeah, a lot of fans. I got to meet a lot of you guys. And it was nice. We took a lot of pictures, saw some really cool cosplay as well.
Oh, yeah. I remember we saw a Jade and a Cyrus.
Yeah, Jade and Cyrus duo, that was very cool.
We saw a Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl.
Also very cool. The Dark Magician was Dark Side of Dimensions.
And then we saw a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon.
I didn't see that.
Me neither. But it would be cool. Come on, somebody do it.
Yeah, I did see like a Pegasus.
I didn't see Pegasus.
Yeah, I saw a Pegasus and I saw, there's like one other kind of cool Yu-Gi-Oh cosplay.
Oh, man. Those are the ones
I meant other ones. I saw like there was a giant Gundam. I don't know which one
I never
it was.
did see the giant Gundam.
Yeah, there's a giant Gundam, and there was a Dr. Octopus or whatever.
Oh, Doc Ock? Yeah,
Doc Ock from
I saw
Spider-Man. Yeah, that was a really good cosplay. So, just all in all, a very cool event. Good time. Shout outs to those of you guys that we got to meet there.
And shout outs to you guys who might meet at future events.
Yeah, you never know what conventions and stuff will be at. I will say I have found myself really enjoying anime conventions as a sort of means of celebrating Yu-Gi-Oh fandom alongside just general anime fandom.
Yeah, every anime fan's a Yu-Gi-Oh fan deep down.
Yeah, to some degree I think that is true.
Somewhere inside you.
Yeah, so anyway, hopefully you guys are having a good week. Hopefully you're enjoying the podcast. Make sure, of course, that you drop a like on YouTube or a comment. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Google or Amazon, a positive review goes a long way.
Speaking of review,
I actually am trying to figure out, first of all, how to like easily find Spotify reviews because I don't have a Spotify account. So
then just make one.
I can never like find the Spotify reviews, but I think I should have an interesting Apple Podcasts review at least.
It's going to be our first 1-star.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. This is from Chewy1061. He says, I've been listening to / watching the podcast since day one, and each episode keeps getting better. Paul and Alec make great content and are not afraid to be brutally honest. The podcast is more of a discussion with a friend that they turn into a podcast versus something that's scripted. It's not just about one topic, and they explore a lot of different areas in other TCGs. Please keep this going and keep up the awesome podcast.
We will try.
Sweet, thanks. We appreciate it. As always, 5 stars goes a really long way, helps us get up in those algorithms and just reach more people because I've been having a lot of fun with this podcast. I don't know if I've told you. I look forward to it, like each week.
And I just get by.
Yeah. Don't take him too seriously. He likes it, I promise. Right?
Sure.
Okay, so there's Yu-Gi-Oh news, of course, to be talked about.
Always Yu-Gi-Oh news.
There was actually a YCS this past weekend. YCS
Bologna.
I know, as I was just informed, actually. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know how to say that. Like, going into that event, I was like, yeah, I have no clue what these people are talking about.
I had to go to Wikipedia and have it tell me how it's pronounced.
I'm not cultured.
It's Italian.
But my understanding is it is Bologna, and congratulations to Joshua Schmidt. He won the event using a Bestial Runic deck.
All right, that's the end of the story.
Yeah, I mean, there's not... I'm going to be honest here. I have not kept up a lot with the competitive TCG scene, so I can't exactly speak to,
But I can speak to the fact that anytime Runic's in the conversation, I'm seeing my way out.
Yeah, I know people don't love Runics too much, but this was a kind of an interesting take on Runic. It's not one that's been done too often before. Typically, people think of Runic as something that you maybe combine with Sprite or maybe combine with Floodgates. But combining it with Bestials was kind of an interesting way to make it a little more aggressive, since I think the Runics were being used both for control and as combo starters and extenders, was my understanding of his deck list.
Very interesting. So, yeah. Joshua Smith, he's won a few YCSs, right?
Yeah, Schmidt.
What did I say?
Smith?
Oh, yeah.
Smith, yeah.
I did say Smith.
Yeah, he's won a few YCS events. I don't know exactly how many, but I know he's been competing for a very long time and has gotten a lot of results, and some people compare him to Jesse Cotton as sort of the European Jesse Cotton.
The European GOAT?
Yeah, which it's always a little maybe slightly disrespectful.
You're like You're like the English.
Yeah,
Jesse
you're the
Cotton.
English Michael Jordan or something. You're the English, like, you know. But either way,
Really, they're just two individuals who are very, very good at this game.
yeah, like kind of ungodly talented, really. I've gotten the chance to talk to Joshua Schmidt a couple of times, once on a podcast, and another time actually just at Worlds in Japan this past year. Really, really intelligent guy, and he has some really good insights into the game. And I also think that he sets a good example for what like a competitive player should be like. I don't think that he doesn't seem like, you know, super uppity about like his own opinions or thinking that like competitive play is like the only way Yu-Gi-Oh can be enjoyed, and that, you know, if you can't get with that, then get out. You know, that's a.
I think I've seen his YouTube channel.
Yeah, I see his videos every now and again.
He does like discussions and stuff.
Yeah, he does discussions, talks about just the format, ban list, products, all kinds of things. I think he's really informative, and I actually would say that he and Jesse Cotton, I know they both make content, and I would say that's probably a good thing if you're a really, you know, tippy top competitive player. Turning that into content, I think, is a good idea.
Especially since you're not going to make any money winning these tournaments.
That's true. Konami isn't paying anybody to really like win a YCS or whatever. So I think that the next best thing is to take your results and acclaim and then use that authority that you kind of gain, at least among that crowd, to make informative content or share your opinions and kind of turn yourself into more of a brand than just a top player.
I will say that's one of the more positive things that have come out of like post-pandemic Yu-Gi-Oh! Is we actually get content from our top players now more than ever. I know many of them offer like coaching and whatnot, but then they also share their insights just for free on social media. That's just more information I think players have ever had.
That's true, because there was a period of time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where that wasn't really the case. Like, the only times that you heard from top players was maybe when, like, their deck profile was being recorded at the end of an event, or, like, kind of occasional little sparse bits, but they largely kept themselves, so.
And I think that's what may have created the whole, like, obsession with, like, what is the list, what is the list, and not is, what are his thoughts, what are his thoughts?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think, like, for a lot of players, they are looking for a beacon of, like, kind of how can an anchor through which to view the format. And I think these top players sharing their opinions is becoming that. And
that's way more beneficial than just getting a deck list.
Yeah, it's a little more beneficial than just seeing a deck list. And it's also probably more beneficial than, like, you know, just arguing with people in the Facebook group of your favorite archetype, you know.
Hey. The Plunder Patrol Facebook group.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, not saying that those groups are bad. Obviously, there's benefits to them, too. But I think that it's nice to get some insight from people who are really getting out there and getting the results as well. So, congratulations to him. The top 64 breakdown was, well, he won with Bestial Runic. There were 2,488 players in the event, 12 rounds of Swiss with the top 64 cut. Finals were Bestial Runic versus Anthony Lopez or Lopes, because I don't know if there's actually like a. Anyway, the point is, Diabell Star Rescue Ace was the other deck in the finals.
That makes sense.
So the top 64 breakdown was 14 Diabell Star Rescue Ace decks being the most popular thing. I've heard people already complaining about that deck a little bit. 10 TR Elements, 6 of them were Horus builds. 9 Labyrinth decks, 4 were Unchained hybrids. So that's pretty cool. 6 Pure Unchained, 4 Diabell Star Fire King. Now that's pretty exciting, because we know that the
made some moves now.
Fire King structure deck just released. By the way, if you haven't already, check out our 3x Fire King duel video.
That's right. We played against the Crimson King.
Nowhere near the level of play of these 64 players, I'm sure, but fun and enjoyable nonetheless.
I normal summoned twice in a turn.
Yeah. You filthy cheater. You tried to cheat me. How dare you try to cheat your best friend in a
so many special summons in a turn. You can just kind of forget like what you've done and what you haven't done.
4 Centurion decks. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Kind of make a splash. 4 Pirelli decks. 2 Vanquish Soul. 2 Diabell Star Makonko. 2 Branded Chimera. 1 Bestial Runic. 1 Bestial Dragon Link. 1 Diabell Star Infernoble Knight. 1 Kashtira. 1 Marincess. And 1 Therion Sun Avalon Rika.
Why can't Snake Eyes make the list?
I mean,
they run Diabell Star too.
Yeah, seems like people.
Why do they do it worse?
Yeah, people aren't too into them. That's a bit of a shame, really. I mean, I thought the Snake Eyes cards were really cool. Hopefully the Goblins at least make a splash
They
and
won't.
nothing else.
But we do know from the OCG that Snake Eyes do get a lot better when they get their next cards.
Yeah. I saw that Pac made top 8 at the event, so that was pretty neat.
I did follow. I followed his run through Twitter.
Yeah.
It was awkward because I forgot that was in Italy and the hours were completely different from ours.
Sometimes it's kind of the fun part about following like events in other countries because like they wrap up like on like kind of early Sunday morning or something, and like that's when you're seeing the finals, and it's like, it's kind of.
I was like, wasn't I just reading day 1 coverage? How is he already in day 2?
Yeah, I know, right? Like I watch competitive Smash, and so sometimes when there's like a Japanese tournament or like a tournament in Europe or something, they will end much like very, very, very early Sunday morning. That's like the very end of it. Whereas if you watch in the States, you're used to it like ending on Sunday night at times. So yeah, a cool event. It's nice to know that competitive Yu-Gi-Oh is just, it's doing the thing.
Alive and well.
It's alive and well. People are happy.
Like more players are, traveling cross continents to go to these YCSs now.
For sure. I think something with that is that like it almost feels like for a lot of people, I know some people on like the world's points grind. That's like a thing where, you get like these points for playing in these events. And you can qualify for worlds in that way. But also it just seems as though there's kind of this need for validation across, just your country's borders. Like, where are you really a top player if you can't kind of win in every territory possible? Because we've seen a lot more people traveling to South America and Europe and like playing in these events to try to prove themselves. And I think that's good.
Many of them have.
Yeah, like I think one thing that if there's one thing that we have seen is that a lot of the same people do like top consistently.
Like
So it's not
clearly,
like a fluke.
this is not a game of luck. There is luck in Yu-Gi-Oh, but that does not decide who wins.
Exactly. Like I think that luck plays a role for sure, but now that we're seeing so many of the same players getting these repeated spots, yeah, I mean, I think that it should let you know there is a little something more going and at play here. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this YCS. It seems like people generally enjoyed watching it. I didn't hear any like major controversies, but it is a good segue to a slightly related topic. Konami Europe just does the best job with coverage.
With our experience with the Konami, they're much freer.
Yeah, Konami Europe I think gets a little bit get a longer leash than Konami US does with how they cover Yu-Gi-Oh. I was just following it kind of loosely on Instagram, Facebook, stuff I'd seen, and they just do so much more. Like, they do these cool promo videos for the events. They really showcase, like, the players front and center. They take pictures of, like, oh, here's your top 32, here's your top 8, like, players, and the kind of, like, these player intros, and they have infographics with stuff.
I want to say it's much more modern, but really, it feels like that's the bare minimum of what an event should be.
Yeah, I'm always surprised that the U.S. isn't doing more, given that the U.S. has like more YCS events and generally larger ones. So you would think that like Konami US would put more effort into like making the U.S. events feel special. But
I feel like every other tournament for card games and video games get more promotion, more marketing.
Yeah, I guess it feels like Konami Europe actually they're a little bit more like in tune with what the players want as well. Like, just they showcase the prizes. They've got announcers, like, hype men. Like, at a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in America, never. You know what I mean? But
man. Hey. Jerome will be right there.
Yeah, Jerome and Billy.
Locked in.
So maybe they can kind of change that, I think, for next year. That would be, I think that should be Konami's New Year's resolution. Make these US YCS events a little more exciting to watch.
They should get the ring announcers for like boxing events to hype up Yu-Gi-Oh events.
That actually would be cool.
Let's get ready to do.
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, just have put some pomp and flair into.
In this quarter, 5-time YCS champion.
What if they had that, though, actually?
That'd be sick.
And you got to have a walkout theme?
I mean, it was... Because they kind of do that at Worlds, but it's not really
as much
the same.
A walkout theme. Like, you get to... The player gets to pick
your own
their
music.
Theme. They would never...
Might be a problem.
Yeah, they would never... Yeah. But, I mean, just something like that could be kind of fun. Yeah, I think that's it for the YCS, unless I'm forgetting something. Yes, no, maybe.
No, I don't remember hearing too many things. Though to be fair, because of the timing of the event, I missed a lot of the live coverage for it.
Yeah, and we were also like out of town, so I wasn't following as closely as I maybe could have been. Any other Yu-Gi-Oh news?
So there is a new archetype that was announced in the OCG.
There is, yeah, the Fire Dragons.
So I got Bright Fleet Dragions.
Okay. So what's their deal?
So now I think the translations are a little weird because they call them the Bright Fleet Dragions in this title, but then the direct translations seem to be like bestowed dragons. Mm-hmm. It's an archetype of fire dragons, so the era of fire continues. Mm-hmm. And they all have battle phase effects?
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter comparing them to like war rocks, basically. Like they were just the fire dragon war rocks, not warlocks.
Like I'm seeing a lot. Looks like a lot of the main deck monsters have a quick effect to let you synchro summon during the battle phase, which feels late. But let's see what the synchros do.
Well, I know that one of the synchro monsters that I saw, I don't know if there's multiple, but I saw one that like locks the battle phase up where like your opponent can't use any effect during it, and also like forces them to attack.
Yeah, that's the big level 10 synchro. Mm-hmm. The level 2 synchro, it can special summon another one of your fire dragons from the grave, which means that can probably do a synchro summon to make your level 10. Mm-hmm. But also it says if 3 or more attacks have been declared this turn, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, then you can destroy one spell or trap card on the field. So essentially, you get into the battle phase, you synchro summon into the smaller dragon, and then use its effect to get another one of your tuners on board to synchro summon to the bigger dragon. And then if you can do 3 attacks, which can the big one attack more than 3 times? No, it cannot. So you'll have to have like 3 separate attacks on your battle phase. You can then make the big guy get its effects and then summon the little guy from the grave and then get its effect to pop something. It feels underwhelming.
Oh, you weren't too impressed?
No, mostly because you are trying to both get attack and then do all your disruptions in the battle phase.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but you're probably right. Like a battle phase centric archetype's just never really going to be able to do a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, you have to really break it quite a bit.
I do like that they say the condition is if 3 more attacks were declared during the turn.
Yeah.
So the attacks don't actually have to go through and you don't have to win the battles. But, oh my gosh, it sounds so
Well, it sounds like you can
difficult.
also do their things in their opponent's turn. So,
yes.
like, if your opponent's attacking, which I think their big monster forces your opponent to attack, then you can still kind of trigger off some effects. I'll have to go in and read it a little bit more closely.
It can lightly lock your opponent out of their main phase 1. If nothing else, it means that they don't want to go into their battle phase with too many monsters on board. Because if you can force them to attack, you can do some things with that.
Yeah, I think that the design also looked really cool. It does evoke Trident Dragion, which it's that old dragon. I used to love that card as a kid. I pulled a like an ultimate rare copy, I think, or like maybe just an ultra as a kid, and I was just like, oh my god, this looks amazing. I want to make a deck around it, and I did, and it sucked. But I mean, but it was cool looking, and that's what matters sometimes.
So I just kind of scrolled a little bit. I saw the field spell. The field spell is actually extremely important. You know why?
Why?
It says fire dragon monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects during your main phase 1.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. That and necessary. Like,
yeah.
Very necessary.
Yeah, for an archetype like this with this sort of a gimmick.
And it's a modern field spell because it does that. When you activate, you get that you can add a card, and then it has an effect where if it gets destroyed, you can double one of your attacks. So, it's another archetype that desperately needs its field spell to really get going.
Yeah, the usual. Well, this one seems pretty cool. I mean, this is coming in Legacy of Destruction, I believe.
Let me check the set name. This is Legacy of Destruction, yeah.
Yeah, is that where the Melodious cards come too?
I don't know.
I saw that there were new Melodious cards.
I saw one of them, but I forgot to actually grab the story.
I know there's the Melodious and the Melodious Maestros. I don't have them pulled up either.
I can pull it up in a second. Give me one moment.
I'm not going to lie. When I read these cards, I didn't I'd forgotten that Melodious was a type, like an archetype.
Wow, someone doesn't
really
like Arc 5.
Yeah, I feel really bad because it's like, man, sometimes these archetypes just they come and go.
They do.
Like,
And Melodious is certainly forgettable.
Yeah, like it was never, obviously at the top, tables of competitive play, but I just one of those that really slipped my mind. I know that they have these kind of fusion monsters. Their fusion monsters are fairly difficult to get a. Well, either way, they got some new ones. Yeah. I saw the main effect of the big new fusion monster is that it can banish Melodious cards until the end phase and bounce your opponent's cards as a quick effect. And it can do that each turn, obviously, so that makes it really quite strong.
It does give you something that the Melodious monsters were missing because I didn't play a lot of Melodious in the TCG. I did play them in Duel Links. And so, of course, I was missing cards, but they don't have a lot of interruption for your opponent. They make a bunch of monsters that are hard to get rid of, but they don't actually stop your opponent from doing much. So this one actually does let you stop your opponent. It's a quick effect. So
yeah, that's always going to be kind of a thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like older archetypes tended to not have interruptions when they were designed. Like their boss monsters didn't really negate things, and that's sort of the standard that you compare most decks to now. It's like does your inboard sort of interrupt your opponent's plays? It's not enough to just have a monster that maybe can't be targeted or something.
Because in a weird sense, right now every deck is invincible on its turn. In a weird sense, like if you don't have an interruption, you probably just lose. Almost any deck will just take you out of the game if it gets a full turn uninhibited. Yep. So decks like Melodious, any deck that came out in the past that doesn't have new support, gonna struggle a lot.
Yeah, it is. So good for Melodious and good for these new fire dragons. It does continue that fire propaganda Konami seems to be pushing.
It's a fire era, y'all. Like
I don't hate it. I mean, I really think like fire deserves this. Like they have gone years just being like truly pretty awful. Like arguably the worst like attribute. Maybe wind is worse. I don't know, but like. For right now, fire's like it's on top. There's Infernoble, there's Snake Eye, there's Rescue Ace,
When was the last time a particular attribute had the game in a chokehold?
I mean,
like
Dark
this?
Always.
I mean,
other
than Dark.
Dark is almost always kind of at the top of the
and then
game.
I guess Light's in second place.
I think that the last time I remember that happening was the Mermail Fire Fist days, where like those two were like kind of the competing decks. It was like fire versus water. Very fun thematic. Thing, but other than that, like you don't often see that.
I was so mad when I realized I missed that format because that was almost right before I got back into the game, and I was just mad. I was like, "That's such a cool like thematic format," and I missed it. And so you guys might know I've tried to make Fire Fist competitive multiple times. It doesn't work. They don't age well, and it just sucks. I want to be in the fire water format.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like maybe they might be doing it again. Like if the next structure deck, because I mean, they just did a Fire King structure deck, so it makes me wonder. Maybe will we get like a Mermail revival?
Could be.
Because if so, then that could kind of usher in this like fire water dichotomy.
Maybe again. They'll do a structure deck R version of that one of the deck that brought us like Neo Daedalus and stuff.
Yeah, they could do that, or even just the Atlantean structure, because the Atlantean structure.
That was a structure. I forgot.
Yeah, they actually have like lore with Fire King.
That was a Nephthybis.
Well, Nephthybis came later, but it was just it was the first 3 or 4 Atlantean monsters, heavy infantry, marksmen.
I must not have been playing when that one came
Yeah, you might not have been.
That makes sense.
But yeah, that was kind of what helped kick off Mermails, because the Mermails discard waters, and the Atlanteans the waters, and they get effects.
They just work perfectly.
A very fun time. Well, anyways, fast forwarding a bit to some Master Duel news. There's not a lot to be had this time around, but basically Master Duel, the Duelist Cup has started again, the December Duelist Cup. This time it's looking like it'll be at least slightly different because there's a different ban list in play.
There's always different ban lists in play with this game.
Yeah, with Master Duel, there's a lot. Zodiacs are now kind of part of the equation again, and they've been seeing some success. The most popular version being a Zodiac Cash Tira kind of hybrid. Yeah, setting up things like Arise Hard or even really just Fenrir alongside of like Zodiac Trident or two. Pretty deadly. And also like the Dragon Rulers are back. They have not so far made any impact.
All right. I could see the self-satisfaction on your face.
Yeah, I'm very happy to prove to people. I mean, I really think like Master Duel has become a good way to at least prove to people that Dragon Rulers aren't.
If you give them to me at 3, we'll do something.
Yeah, give them to people at 3. I think that could be like a thing. We're gonna do something
with 3 of them.
Yeah, so that's been around. They released a Tri-Brigade Shurag mate. Actually, it's a deluxe mate. So.
Oh, okay. So the last deluxe mate was the Laundry Dragon mate, right?
Yeah, or it might have been the Gaia the.
Oh, is that
Dragon
one also
champion.
deluxe?
Yeah, it's also deluxe. It does a little battle phase thing. So there aren't too many deluxe mates, but when there are, they're quite cool.
What does the Shurag do?
It like shoots his gun like during the battle phase, or something. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I think that I'd assume it's. I've seen the shooting animation, like it shoots his little gun. I think it's either in the battle phase or maybe when you link summon.
It has to do more than that, because I mean, my Hanzo mate throws a shuriken. Like he's not deluxe.
So yeah, I'm assuming he might like change position and like take aim. You know, like
maybe he flies off or something.
That'd be funny. He just leaves.
It's like
he doesn't come back.
You're starting to lose the game. He just goes.
Yeah, he's out. Yeah, you flubbed this one. So that's pretty cool. Nothing too major. I mean, the Duelist Cup, it's like I said, it's underway. Mm-hmm. We'll see if it gets to be as toxic as maybe the last one was perceived to be.
How far are you going?
I'm not actually playing. I'm not doing any of the Duelist Cup. Like I know last time there was a lot of drama around it, and I played a tad bit of the Duelist Cup last time. I do not intend to play it this time.
Not at all.
Nah.
But you've been enjoying Rescue Ace.
I mean, I haven't even really been playing that as much. I've been playing a little more Vanquish Soul, just for fun.
Then run it with Vanquish Soul. Go win.
Yeah, I'm not
Go punch your ticket to Worlds.
Yeah, you wish. So, I'm sure people will enjoy the Duelist Cup plenty in my absence. My mental health will thank me for it. The Duelist Cup just seems like it's a lot of stress, and maybe I'll play like to get the gems up, but I won't play like stage 2. That could be a.
He gets his points, and then he says he's not going to
give you points, give you gems. However, it was kind of funny I saw on Reddit. I haven't a proper Reddit thread that I was going to bring up, but one funny thing I saw like earlier this week is that there's a theory that people have that like in the Duelist Cup like qualifying matches, Konami is like sort of, I guess, tugging the strings of the deck shuffling algorithm to it's very conspiracy, but to like make it where people pull slightly like the hands are more extreme basically. So like people think like hand traps show up more and like powerful starter cards show up more because like somebody uploaded some replay where like their opponent had like Imperm, Maxi, and Ash and just stopped everything they tried to do on their turn, and then when the opponent's turn started, they just had like Mathmech Circular and just kind of OTK'd them from there. And obviously it's conspiracy. I mean, like I know Master Duel has a random deck shuffler. Some people have like these ideas that like the deck shuffler is rigged or in some way like, you know.
What's the point of a theory that can't be proved?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's something there. Maybe Konami is... I like, okay, if we entertain it for a bit, like just the idea that maybe they're like making more extreme hands or more extreme draws, it would be interesting if they basically took cards that were like, that have like high win rates and were just sort of like, yeah, we're going to make those cards show up in opening hands more often. That could be like a funny thing.
But what's weird about that is, I guess it would ruin the competitive integrity of the game, but I guess we can't do anything about it. We can't prove it or do anything. So
yeah, I mean, I guess it makes for more exciting, intense dueling action, hey?
Sure.
Yeah, or something akin to that. So
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be very excited if my opponent drew every hand trap and just shut me out the game.
Yeah, I think that it can almost create, like, if you look at it, like, there's a little too much intensity. Mm-hmm. Like, just for games to be, you know, like, everything you do gets hand trapped and your opponent has the one card starter. Like, it just, and like, if that happens, like, you know, just every single time, like, it would quickly burn people out, so.
And, like, And it can't happen every single time, like, or statistically it can't. Now,
I think
if you play just 3 games, like, maybe there's a chance.
I think Master Duel is one of those things too, where it probably gets a little bit anecdotal. Like you remember the worst experiences, the most extreme times when when your opponent had everything and like they stopped all your plays and they OTK'd you, and so yeah, like I think with that like in mind, it's probably just people complaining. However, I do have another Reddit thread that this is like I guess loosely related issue. It's this meme. I don't know if you've seen this meme format. I'll put it up on the screen.
Let's see.
But basically, it's like
I've seen the format before.
Yeah, it's that meme format where the guy like accepts his medal and is like yeah, like I won this medal, but in reality like he's like kind of in last place and there's like a bunch of bad things to be ashamed of. So the way that this one basically goes is like this guy with the medal in his mouth. He's like TCG best format. We aren't idiots who leave Max C unbanned. Fuck OCG, fuck Master Duel. Best of 3, baby, as God intended. But then, like, I guess some of the other things that he does not consider in the meme are that Master Duel allows you to have like monthly ban lists, monthly events. It's free to play. You can play more than once a week at locals. It has
Some
the
people
most
don't play more than
hype
once a
Worlds
week.
event. That sort of thing. So, this was a meme that like wasn't super well received. Some people didn't really like the implied animosity between TCG and OCG, but I have noticed that there's a little bit more of it these days.
Should we start wearing like shirts to rep our gangs? Like,
yeah, TCG.
like, you gotta get a Master Duel shirt. I have to wear a TCG shirt, and we won't be able to be friends anymore.
There's been some discourse that like that the OCG, like Master Duel and just the OCG in general, is like a fake Yu-Gi-Oh format. Fake in the sense that it's got Max C legal, so therefore it must be like kind of fraudulent or invalid in some way.
I mean, if you only play the TCG, then I guess that makes some sense.
Yeah, like a lot of TCG players have said that. Some people also think that the OCG is just a beta test. And that like, people, yeah, like if you're an OCG player or you play in the OCG, you're just being, you're being part of the beta test where they just release cards in the OCG and then like balance them for the TCG. So,
but I mean, if someone just played Master Duel, I feel like they could have similar feelings about the TCG. It just filled with a bunch of old people who like they don't know technology and they play Yu-Gi-Oh with paper cards because it's the only way they've ever known.
Well, so I thought this would actually be a great opportunity to kind of compare and contrast them with our own sort of personal anecdotes about it.
Oh, okay.
Right, maybe absent of just, I know there's like a lot of online debate about like formats and which one's better and worse. I mean, TCG, OCG, like which one would you say having played them both to some degree, which one do you enjoy more? Or when you were playing them, enjoyed more?
When we say OCG, we're talking about Master
Sorry,
Duel?
TCG versus Master Duel. I think OCG is not
okay,
really a relevant part.
okay.
I shouldn't have said that. Because like neither of us have like really gone to Japan enough to like play.
That's a tough one. So, because for years, I mean, I only played TCG, but not even necessarily competitively.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess in the shoes of the average
right
player,
now,
maybe.
I like Master Duel more.
Okay.
Just because of my current like situation with the game. The TCG's metagame is kind of far above my head at this point. Mm-hmm. And I don't really care to learn to compete. I learn the rules and like how to play, but I don't really care to like compete and compete at a high level with the game anymore. Master Duel takes a lot of that edge off. Yeah. I'm not competitive in Master Duel by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that it kind of guides my like the process of dueling, it makes it a lot easier. So if you're very casual, I think you kind of can't beat Master Duel just because it's hard to play Yu-Gi-Oh any more casually than that. I mean,
I suppose so, yeah. So for me, obviously, I'm a little biased. I play a lot of Master Duel. I have not played a lot of TCG. I have found that Master Duel also fills my needs better. Like, I just want to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels. Like, for me, I just want to duel. I don't really care how I do it, per se, But with Master Duel, it's nice just to be able to like queue up, and I like the presentation and the look so much that really kind of that keeps me in. It keeps me invested. It's a lot more exciting than also even like watching like Dueling Book or EDO Pro, which are much more rudimentary. And I think the most important part to that point is just that like I don't have to like sleeve up cards, drive to locals, and like play in a tournament where I will I pay $10 and I drive all the way there, but I'm only really getting like 3 or 4 rounds of play. And yet I'm there for like, 4 or 5 hours. And in that same amount of time in Master Duel, I can get a lot more just net duels in.
I mean, I think to truly appreciate the TCG over something like Master Duel, you have to have an understanding and appreciation for the process of a duel. You have to not just understand everything that goes into a duel, all the phases, all the steps in the phases, how you transition between them, how you and your opponent are supposed to interact. You actually have to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I think at some point I used to. But right now, I think I'm so focused on just trying to learn how to play newer archetypes and new decks decently that I don't want to add that to also all the steps that go into having a good paper duel.
Yeah, I think like with Master Duel, it is nice to I have the duel log, I have like life points, and once returns are kept track of. A lot of the extra tracking is done for me, and I don't have to worry about like calling a judge over some controversial ruling discrepancy. Master Duel will figure it out for me, and it will just like run it for me. And I think at the kind of stage I'm at where like I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't like want is there a word for that? I don't know.
It's like maintenance.
Yeah, all the maintenance of like kind of just doing a proper duel. I know that sounds lazy, and that's
to an extent it is.
I mean, it's kind of lazy. That's just my experience with it. I know some people really prefer that TCG experience because it's so organic and so granular, and there's a little bit more ability to like bluff or more ability to kind of
the person
telegraph
who
things.
Understands the processes of a duel better has an innate advantage in a paper game. You can use your knowledge of how a duel is conducted, the steps, the phases, to your advantage. While in Master Duel, it's very limited how much more advantage you can get.
I've also found that I'm becoming a bit more of a fan of Best of One. Not like that I think it's like wholly better, but actually just because like I don't care. Like I don't really care to like go all the way to game 3. I just want to get in and get out.
You just don't want to side.
Yeah, not really. I don't. I mean, side decking was always something that I wouldn't say I hated it when I played like a lot of physical TCG. Like it was nice, obviously. Like, but I don't know. I'm kind of over it. Like I like the idea of like you have to build your deck almost with a little bit of a side deck in there. Like you got to have hand traps or board breakers or something, and how much you're willing to give, how much dedication like in deck space you're willing to give to those will determine how successful over many games you probably will be, because you're gonna lose coin flips. I still think the best of 3 is probably better for like determining who is like the overall most strategically sound like prepared player in like these large scale tournaments. I think that's probably still preferable. But for me, who's just I'm in my bedroom and I'm just playing some Yu-Gi-Oh, like just I don't
firing up Master Duel with a brewski in one hand.
Yeah,
got a dinner plate in the other.
I'm not like, because I think like best of 3s and Master Duel would just be such a time commitment. It actually might stress me out more.
I remember when Master Duel came out, and everyone was jumping in, and people were finding out just how long a Yu-Gi-Oh duel can take.
Yeah.
You happen to Master Duel thinking, wow, I'm getting like one game every 10 minutes, and like I'm just gonna have a good time. I fly through them, and then you're approaching like the 30-minute mark, and you're like, how is he still playing?
Yeah, I mean, like I think that for a lot of people, they are finding out that like Yu-Gi-Oh just in general turns can take a long time, and that
even
that applies,
automated turns.
Yeah, even automated turns, like that applies to both. But at least like in Master Duel, I don't know. Whatever. I'm biased. I like Master Duel a little bit more as a format, but I don't think that like one is inherently better. I think it's just what you're looking for. So,
yeah.
I know it's a very diplomatic answer to give, but there's not really any other answer to give other than you just play what you like. One last thing I would like to say too is that like there's really like the whole argument probably is moot because there's a lot of crossover. Like a lot of people just play both.
I mean, you can't always be playing a TCG, right? You have to have people to play with. You have to go to a place. Master Duel is always there ready to fill in those gaps of time.
Yeah, like some people, they literally, like, they play Master Duel at home, and they go to their locals once or twice a week, and then back to Master Duel, so.
But you know who does have an answer?
Who's got an answer?
Konami has an answer with their new special TCG product.
Oh, they've got an answer, do they?
That's right.
Okay.
Let me open this up.
Oh, this is their thing that was on social media this morning, or yesterday morning as of when you guys are probably listening to this.
Continue. Okay. So, the TCG announced that they are revealing a new product release for the 25th anniversary. We don't know what it is, but at Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, they will be revealing something for us to buy.
Well, I mean, I guess what else would it be, right?
Right. I mean, they never give us anything for free.
Yeah, they claim that this is going to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. So that's probably something that's worth mentioning. The 25th anniversary. So I've realized how it actually works.
Oh, okay, good. Because it's December.
Yeah. So this product probably won't be releasing in December, but the 25th anniversary started in like February.
So it runs until
next February. Like I guess the end of next February or something like that.
That's weird.
So basically anything that any of these like little events, products, things they're doing can like that's why like Amazing Defenders and Photon Hypernova I think weren't considered like part of the 25th anniversary. Like they didn't have the little tag
the
thing, the little stamp on them. But like things past it did. So.
Okay.
Anyways, any clue? I have no clue. Like any guesses what this product might be?
Well, I know what it won't be.
What won't it be?
A platinum something.
I certainly hope that I don't want any more quarter century. I mean,
if Konami has learned any lessons in the last year, and there should have been a few, they should have learned that these platinum card things for $1,000.
Yeah, the platinum. What is that? That's a collection, isn't it? What's it called? Like the platinum collection?
The platinum series.
Because I know like there's Blue Eyes Dark Mission. I hope it's not another one of those.
So it would be tone deaf for them to release another.
Alec, and probably $1,500 this time.
Like. It would not be a great idea.
Get your $1,500 red eyes.
I mean, maybe a platinum Dark Mission Girl sells, but that would be a very risky
I think people would not,
move to make.
Now is not the time, Konami. Please don't.
So
my guess is it's just another product. Like, I mean, I don't know what kind of product that would be, but I'm guessing it's just another product.
But like, it's seemingly something that the OCG, if it's something the OCG has, then I'm guessing it's some type of sleeves or something, like a new set of sleeves. If it's something the OCG doesn't have, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
maybe reprints, quarter century reprints.
OCG. I think it's probably OCG related.
We got Rarity Collection. I don't know what they could be reprinting.
Now, well, here's one interesting thing. So they show this image where it's like a gift box. So that to me implies that maybe it is something that's like Christmas related, although this seems quite short notice to be. I mean, like, it's December 14th when you guys are watching this, and they won't be revealing this until the 15th. So, like, I don't know that there would be enough time for anybody to, like, buy anything for Christmas. But
it might lead into... Because I've had this theory that Konami has been dropping lots of things to drum up their end-of-year revenue and trying to take advantage of the holidays. If that is some type of holiday gift-themed product, honestly, the fact that they're dropping at all during the holidays, especially if orders go up before Christmas, then I think that supports my idea that Konami, I don't know why, but they are just they're milking the end of this year for every little dime they can get.
I still don't know like what else this year needs though. Like
it didn't need.
I don't think this year needs.
We didn't need Valiant
products.
Smashers.
Yeah, like I don't know that this year needs any more products, and that like people would really even be willing to buy any new products. Like. There's just been enough. I think Rarity Collection was great, and like we've had a good mainline set that's like happening. And even I mean Valiant Smashers, love it or hate it. I mean like at least the Centurions have like made a splash competitively.
They actually did. They did.
And the Fire King deck has. So it's like technically we've had meaningful products. I just don't think we need more. Like this soon at least.
Well, they're not done.
Yeah, apparently not.
I wonder if this might be something kind of like how Premium Bandai works with One Piece and Digimon.
What do you mean?
So for context, guys, in the One Piece and Digimon TCGs, they get exclusive product releases from the Premium Bandai website, where it's usually exclusive mats, alternate art, promo cards, and they're usually expensive. You need to pre-order them months out, but they're actually useful to your game and not a piece of silver painted garbage. I meant
painted thing.
Promotional item.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm pretty sure Konami has learned their lesson with that. I don't think that we'll be seeing another one of those unless they've already unless it was just planned from the start. There would be 30 or something.
Which there might have been.
Yeah, that would not be good. I'm interested in what this is, though. I will be, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled.
Because there really aren't any hints on this. So
yeah, there's nothing that we can glean. This is just pure conjecture at this point.
They just say it celebrates the 25th anniversary.
So anybody who's listening to the YouTube premiere of this, they're live in the chat, let us know what are your predictions about what this might be? What would be exciting for you? Will it be more of a TCG based thing, or do you think it'll just be kind of more of a Yu-Gi-Oh brand, just general thing? My guess is closer to TCG.
Let me just check who posted this.
Yu-Gi-Oh TCG posted it, at least on Twitter.
Ah, okay.
So my understanding is that it's probably
TCG related.
That
makes sense. That just makes sense.
So what would that be? Don't really know, but it will be something, and we'll know quite soon.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the Yu-Gi-Oh news.
That's all I've got.
Yeah. Okay. One last quick thing. I saw this on Twitter. This is just sort of hearsay. No clue if it's true.
Paul spreading misinformation.
Yeah, me when I spread misinformation on the internet. So that's full disclaimer. Who knows if it's true? I saw House of Champs and Jeff Jones on Twitter. They were talking about how apparently Konami has been offering stores deep discount rates on cases of Dune or Duelist Nexus and this year's Dueling Heroes tins, both of which were products that were very poorly received by people.
Yeah.
And apparently did not sell super well. And so a lot of shops have them, sitting on shelves, and were not able to get rid of them. And Konami also did not, I guess, get very many orders of cases for these products, and they have extras and are trying to get rid of them. Now, again, this is just hearsay, so whether or not it's true, maybe some shop owners can.
But I mean, House of Champs did tweet it, and may just say there's not many people as tapped into this game as House of Champs.
That's true. He's very into the product side of things, so I would be interested in finding out if that's true. If somebody wants to verify it, I hope that's wouldn't get you in trouble for saying so maybe don't. But either way, I mean, I think
I'm a Konami employee. I'll provide you with the answers.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it even takes very much guesswork to assume that those sets sold pretty badly, and Konami probably just wants to get rid of them, and they would be willing to get to a shop for less. Still, though, I still don't think a shop should take it.
I mean,
not those sets. That isn't. It's not me saying Yu-Gi-Oh's awful right now, because the last 4 products have all been quite good, I'd say, to some.
I did not like Valiant Smashers.
I didn't like it personally, but at least one of the decks has done something, right?
True.
It's meaningful. Duelist Nexus and the 10 of Dueling Heroes, they just. I mean, I remember that period of time where Duelist Nexus boxes were $40 on TCG Player, and card shops were having to try to sell that for $75 or something on a shelf, and it just wasn't happening.
Hey, Chaos Angel.
That was the step before that.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. And
yeah. Never mind. I remember now.
And also the Dueling Heroes 10, it was also not. That was actually probably, I would actually say, worse.
It might. I wonder if that's our worst 10 ever. I'm trying to think of a 10 I disliked more.
I mean, I think the 10s have kind of gone downhill since 2019. 2019 was great.
Peak 10.
Peak 10. Nibiru, Dark Ruler, Dimension Shifter. Love them or hate them, they were good cards.
And we got to be the ones that announced the promos.
Yeah, and I think the next year was when we got Dragoon. That was a big deal.
Yeah, huge.
But they've stopped adding promos to the 10s. Mm-hmm. This year they gave promos back, but they were those really yucky. I think I have one over here. just these like quarter century
Very random quarter centuries at that.
monsters that nobody actually really wants. And the reprints were atrocious this time. There were no staple reprints.
Nope.
No Kurikara, no Ultimate Slayer, and
And it's strange because Konami's usually better about divvying up their reprints where they have at least something for every product.
They kind of backloaded a lot of it into rarity collection, but I think that the 10s just may as well have almost not existed this year. They were that
they reprinted archetypes that no one wanted.
Yeah, or that were about to get hit, like Kashtira.
Yeah.
Like, it's just very... I think that's actually all the Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, okay. I got a Magic story.
Do you?
Yeah.
Is it the one? I think it is, because there's a pretty big one I've heard.
Do you have it too?
Probably. What do you got?
So Hasbro lays off 1,100 D&D and Magic the Gathering employees.
Yeah, 2 weeks before Christmas, quote, "to keep Hasbro healthy," is the quote that my article has, at least. This is from dicebreaker.com.
So corporate. That's some corporate.
Yeah, it's rough. So go ahead.
Okay. So earlier this week, Hasbro announced that it will be laying off approximately 1,100 employees 2 weeks before Christmas, as per an internal memo. These internal memos never stay internal, do they?
They don't.
At the time, I pointed out that the memo announced the majority of the notifications will happen over the next 6 weeks, with the balance occurring over the next year. So they're not all dropping at the same time. While it doesn't directly contradict this statement, many layoffs are happening right now. A list of layoffs at Wizards of the Coast continues to grow. Some have been substantiated via announcements on social media, while others are still being verified. Mike Merles, a co-designer of D&D 5th edition, is potentially among their number, as per a Blue Sky screenshot shared on Twitter. Merles had left Wizards of the Coast RPG design team and had been working on the design team for Magic the Gathering. This has been further substantiated by a growing list at EN World, as well as one being assembled by tabletop journalist Christian Coffer on Twitter. While the scope of the layoffs is still being verified, I've collected what statements I can from the impacted employees. Among this list of confirmed layoffs is art director Brianna Hayes, a senior developmental editor Eitan Bernstein, producer and host Amy Dallin, game designer Dan Dillon, product manager Natalie Egan, senior communications manager Larry Frum, and Magic the Gathering community manager Jesse Hill.
Okay.
So while
those people are all
confirmed to be getting the X.
That sucks.
So the names don't mean too much because I'm still a very fledgling member of the Magic the Gathering community.
I mean, they mean a lot in the sense that those are real people with real jobs.
They don't mean personally. It doesn't mean much. But these are still these are huge layoffs for a game that has been on the upward track, I would say. I
mean, I don't know about Dungeons and Dragons since I don't really play that, but I know that Magic has been getting quite good sales. I've read in the
they keep releasing products. They don't stop.
So they announced a decision citing continued headwinds in the toys and games market cut into even their more conservative earnings estimates. So yeah, it sounds like I guess the toys and games market in general is not doing super well. I can't speak much to that because I don't follow it very
we could
closely.
do an industry report.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's that whole doing it 2 weeks before Christmas thing that especially rubs people the wrong way, because I think just generally in retail and everything, it's seen as in quite bad tastes. It's not a good look to, lay people off really anytime, but especially before the holidays.
But also I find the Magic community has a very unique relationship with their game developers and the people who are in their community. Mm-hmm. They seem more communal. If you work for Magic and you make things for Magic, the players they know your name. They appreciate the work that you put in. And so for Magic players, these aren't just names. These are the people that have created their hobby and they continue to make it better.
Yeah.
And a little bit worse at the same time. But what I don't like about all this is I don't like, I can put the sentimental stuff aside. I don't like that a corporation is seeing they're seeing some bad signs. They're losing some money, And instead of lightening the load on the segments that are actually losing money, they just went ahead and cut people from just across the entire corporation.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's pretty rough because it's like, okay, we weren't seeing the profits we were supposed to, so we will, make these cuts so that profits don't look as bad maybe this next year or something. But it's really rough. Apparently that's 1/5 of its roughly 6,400 employees, so that's a huge chunk. CEO Chris Cox disclosed their plans to axe 1/5 of their employees, and they also say that, or this is what Cox says, there's going to be a focus on fewer, larger brands, digital development, and investing hard on direct-to-consumer and licensed deals. So that's
it's just insane to me. If you're an employee of Wizards of the Coast, subsidiary of Hasbro, you can be doing great work, or at least good work. Your company can be on the upward track, and then corporate says, yeah, your job is gone.
Yeah, I know this news is especially difficult during the holiday season, he continued. There's no sugarcoating how hard this is, particularly for the employees directly affected. The rest of the memo characterized the massive number of layoffs as a, quote, last resort and a lever that we must pull to keep Hasbro healthy. Cox first stepped into the role of Hasbro CEO in February 2022 and now earns an annual salary of $1.5 million. He received $9.4 million in total compensation last year. So
he's a very new CEO for Hasbro.
Yeah, he's fairly new, and he's raking in the dough.
It sounds like this is the type of CEO that tries to stabilize. It sounds like he tries to stabilize the business, and since he's doing this in only a year in his position, I mean, they can expect probably more cost-cutting measures down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big question for us, though, really, is how does this affect like Dungeons and Dragons and like Magic the Gathering? Apparently, people have reached out for comment, did not get any. I hope that, I mean, like Magic and stuff is okay. I don't think that they will, any of them are going to end, but hopefully this doesn't like drastically affect the quality of the product or like the consumer experience. Like I know losing a community manager, for instance, that kind of is. There's a player experience element there that would maybe be lost or hampered. So that kind of sucks.
Hasbro knows to not, they're not going to end these money-making properties, but they might be throwing a bit of a wrench in how it works by removing so many people.
I know there's a kind of thing in corporate culture, like corporate cost-cutting culture, that is that your job doesn't seem, we can't see the immediate value in your job, so therefore it's not like useful, right? That like, we're going to cut this community manager because, well, the community manager, by our estimation, is not bringing in money. When in reality, that community manager who's like, running these social media pages and keeping players in the know and is, as you mentioned before, a face that a lot of players like recognize and view typically fondly, although I guess community managers kind of get it.
They can get some issues.
But like, losing that means that you kind of become probably closer to what like Yu-Gi-Oh's like, where there isn't a community manager in Yu-Gi-Oh, and we see how that goes. Like
you just feel like they don't hear you at all.
Yeah, wall of silence. People, it breeds more resentment for the company. I'm sure Konami can tell us a thing or two about that. So I don't know. For those of you guys who are invested into Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons, actually, let us know. I mean, I'd like to hear more about, are players concerned about this? As for the names of the people who are being laid off, obviously you're all very important, but are there any like, big names that were for you, if you're listening and you play Magic, that were just, I guess, in any way impacted you? I'd like to hear those stories,
especially for us as Yu-Gi-Oh players. It's so different because Konami actually has a very high turnover, and I don't know if Yu-Gi-Oh players know the names of
anybody involved.
Anybody.
Yeah, I know with Konami, without maybe going into too much detail, like the times that I've been able to work with them has been like, Sometimes, I mean, like they're just like, people come and go, and I think like a lot of companies are like that, right? Like it doesn't sound like they're axing loads of people, but there's definitely a revolving door, so to speak, and so. But like the players facing side of it would never know, really.
Yeah, I mean, players' experience with Konami are kind of Konami adjacent. It's usually the judges.
Yeah, you'll either interact with judges or like you'll just see Konami's vague social media posts that just aren't attributed to any person. It's just kind of a
the press release that they're just cold and unfeeling.
I mean, it's true. They're good at that. Well, anyway, I've got a story.
What you got?
So we got a handful of gaming stories, actually.
I have some as well.
Yeah. So I guess we'll kick this one off with the Epic Games trial. I don't know if you've been following this.
As a Fortnite player, I have to.
Epic win.
Hey,
Jury decides Google has illegal monopoly in App Store fight. So I don't know how much you've been following the sort of Epic versus Apple and Google
Not
lawsuits.
deeply, but tell it to them. They need to hear it more than me.
All right, well, it's great because the article does a pretty good job of summarizing it. 3 years after Fortnite maker Epic Games sued Apple and Google for allegedly running illegal App Store monopolies, Epic has a win. The jury in Epic v. Google has just delivered its verdict, and it found that Google turned its Google Play App Store and Google Play billing service into an illegal monopoly. So the idea basically was that Apple and Google have App Store monopolies because they kicked Fortnite off the App Stores.
Yeah.
The reason they kicked Fortnite off the App Stores a few years back was because
they were giving players a way to buy premium currency by going around their markets.
Yeah. So normally, like in Fortnite, you can buy V-Bucks. You probably know more about this than me.
Leave me alone.
But,
I saw that look.
I mean, you can buy like V-Bucks. But when you make any purchase in the App Store, Google or Apple's app stores, they do take a cut of like what you pay. Mm-hmm. So if you buy an app for $5, Apple and Google take 30% of that. And also, if you purchase, say, like a premium currency in your mobile game, and like you pay for it through like Google Play billing, Google also takes 30% of it, or Apple, same thing, right? So when you buy your V-Bucks, what would have been $10 worth of V-Bucks, you'll be charged like $13, let's say, and they have to do that in order to circumvent the cost that they're going to have to like pay to Apple or Google for that transaction happening through their apps. The thing is, though, what Fortnite did was they actually told players in game, hey, you can get these V-Bucks for less if you just download the game like on your PC and buy your V-Bucks there, so that we don't have to do it in our native app, so that we don't have to pay this extra bit and you get to save some money. Apple and Google didn't like that.
I even think that you could actually hit a link in game that took you to an external browser.
Yeah, I think that's what they were doing, and Apple and Google did not care for this.
Not one bit.
So they were like, we want our chunk. So they took Fortnite actually off those app stores, which is a huge move because Fortnite's like a huge game. And the only real way to download it would either be through like an APK file on an Android phone.
Many people have done that.
Apparently the Samsung App Store actually has Fortnite.
That's a W for Samsung.
So W for Samsung. But yeah, so they took it to court, and it's been kind of just festering in court for the last 2-3 years. But after just a few hours of deliberation, the jury unanimously answered yes to every question put before them. That Google has monopoly power in the Android app distribution markets and in-app billing services markets. That Google did anti-competitive things in those markets, and that Epic was injured by that behavior. They decided Google has an illegal tie between its Google Play App Store and its Google Play billing payment services too, and that its distribution agreement deals with game developers and OEMs were all anti-competitive.
You know what that means? They're gonna break it up. Google's gonna they're gonna have to just restructure those agreements, and they won't be able to connect their billing and Google Play stores.
Yeah, what's likely going to happen is one of two things. Either A, they're going to, which I think Fortnite's pushing for them to reduce the 30% chunk. So maybe that gets reduced to 25% or 20%. Something that I guess feels fair. I'm not an expert in these things. Mm-hmm. I know that 30% sounds, at least to the layman like me, like a lot of money, right?
Right.
Like, if I just told you, okay, I just want 30% of everything you make. Simple, just 30% because I want it. Now, the argument on the side of Google or Apple, though, is that, well, by utilizing our Play Store or the App Store, you are getting access to our sort of users, and there's a cost to that. That's, I think, what Apple or Google would argue. And I think that they have sort of a point, I suppose. Like, if you think about it, being on the App Store is a big deal.
It
is. Being
is.
on Apple's App Store means that you suddenly have a lot of eyes, and
But they also
all
put
that.
all kind of garbage on there too.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. We'll see where this goes. In a post on its company blog, Epic Games said today's verdict is a win for all app developers and consumers around the world. Proves that Google's App Store practices are illegal and they abuse their monopoly to extract exorbitant fees, stifle competition, and reduce innovation. Now, this is a historic victory because Epic actually mostly lost its fight against Apple 2 years ago when Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers decided that fight had nothing to do with apps. That was the, taking Fortnite off the App Store thing.
Right.
So, but Epic v. Google turned out to be a bit of a different case. It hinged on secret revenue sharing deals between Google, smartphone makers, and big game developers, which Google execs internally believed were designed to keep rival app stores down.
But I do think this actually it's a win against Google, but I think it's also a win against Apple. The Google and Apple have been watching each other's lawsuits, and I think now that the Google Play Store has been ruled a monopoly, I think that's actually going to force Apple to make some changes too, just so that you can't take that same argument to them.
Yeah, so we don't know exactly what Epic has won quite yet. That's up to Judge James Donato, who will decide what the appropriate remedies might be. Epic never sued for monetary damages. It wants the court to tell Google that every app developer has total freedom to introduce its own app stores and its own billing systems on Android, and we don't know yet or even whether the judge might grant those wishes. So they'll be meeting with the judge in the second week of January to discuss potential remedies.
That'll be huge. It's interesting. The judge has this open-ended, this blank check to punish Google and rewrite the rules of how this is supposed to go.
So I kind of wanted your opinion too, just being that you purchased, you play a lot of mobile games. Have you found
what are you trying to say?
Well, you do, right?
I do play a lot.
Do you have like a personal stake in this? Like, would you, if your mobile game said, okay, you can buy your premium currency separate from the Google Play Store and pay a little less, would you do that, or do you think it's like not worth the hassle?
So there's extra hassle involved if games had their own billing. I think it's fine if games had their own billing in addition to using Google's billing,
so people
Google
can
Play
choose
and stuff. But I play so many games. I use the Google Play reward system, and so presumably I would just keep using it. I like being able to get something back for my investment, we'll call it. And
what do you get back? What is that?
You can get Google Play credit, discounts, that sort of thing.
Things.
But if everyone starts moving towards their own billing and away from that one centralized place, it might be a bit of a pain to actually rack up my Google rewards. And I mean, that's a personal thing. That's how it affects me specifically. But but if every app had their own billing, that means they could have different ways, different payment methods you might not have access to if you're billing through Google Play. I don't know what those would be, but that might be more flexible for other people. That might be a benefit.
Yeah, I find so I don't really play a lot of mobile games, so like my opinion's kind of crap here, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is a sector of people who actually just don't give any shits. And by that I mean like that even if there are alternative ways to pay that might even save them money, they won't use them because it's just more convenient to buy your currency in just
it is convenient
through Google Play. So but I would certainly like to reap those discounts. Like I think I would buy my V-Bucks at whatever place gets them the cheapest.
I mean, I play the game Honkai Star Rail. And those MiHoYo verse games, they're on PC and whatnot. So I mostly play them on PC, but if I buy premium currency, I actually prefer just do it through Google Play. download it on my phone, update the game and everything, just so that I can buy my currency on Google Play and get rewards.
I will say one thing too that maybe is more relevant to some listeners, like on YouTube, is like if you donate YouTube super chats, for instance, or super thanks, like you can do in this premiere if you're watching on YouTube.
Oh,
YouTube, like if you do it on an Apple device, it takes like more money because like of the App Store cut.
Right.
So that's like an example of this in action. So if you wanted to like super chat like $10, well, like either I'll get
watch
less
out,
of
Apple.
it, or like
You
it'll
might
cost
have a
you
monopoly.
more, something like that. So yeah, just something worth keeping in mind. It's an interesting story I thought might be worth raising, but there are other gaming stories.
Yeah, like this gaming story. E3 is dead.
Yeah, I heard this one.
And I keep reading, except I just got bombarded with those, like, please buy a subscription to our page now, and I can't get it off my screen.
Well, fortunately for you, I've got a story from Polygon that just is covering that.
Dope. All right.
Yeah, E3 is 100% dead. So, the Electronic Entertainment Expo, better known as E3, is canceled indefinitely. After more than 2 decades of E3, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye, says event organizer for the Entertainment Software Association. That's what they wrote on their website. Thanks for the memories, GGWP. Good game, well played.
Oh, okay. I don't know what he just said.
I think that's what that means. Anyways, once the gaming industry's biggest event of the year, E3's decline began when the Sony Interactive Entertainment skipped out on the event in 2019 for the first time in E3's decades-long history. That was the last E3 before COVID-19 quarantine measures pushed events online, and developers realized they didn't need the hype of E3 to create their own E3-like experiences. E3 hosted an all-virtual event in 2021 before it was entirely canceled in 2022. In March 2023, new organizer ReedPop announced it was canceled once again, and people began to wonder if it would ever return. Now it's confirmed that it won't. The quote, "We know the entire industry, players and creators alike, have a lot of passion for E3. We share that passion," they said in an interview. "We know it's difficult to say goodbye to such a beloved event, but it's the right thing to do given the new opportunities our industry has to reach fans and partners." So one other thing that's probably worth mentioning here too, developers and publishers have more direct access to players, something that was exciting for the industry. Companies like Nintendo, Sony, Ubisoft, and others have embraced the showcase format to highlight games from internal and external partners. So that's where you think of the State of Play or the Microsoft Game Showcase or Nintendo Directs. And then also, E3 has largely been replaced too by Jeff Keighley's industry events like the Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards, which we'll be talking about shortly. But yeah, so with E3, thoughts?
Rest in peace. I mean, I've only ever been to one, and it was the last in-person E3.
2019.
But,
yeah. Konami invited us to that. That was fun.
Yeah. I did enjoy
Legacy
E3.
the Duelist.
I enjoyed E3, and it's a shame that I'll never get to do it again.
Were you an E3 kid?
What's that mean?
By E3 kid, I guess it's my own little personal term for like when I was a kid, E3 was everything. Like just not going to it, but just the coverage of it was such a hype kind of thing in the gaming industry. Like because
I never knew. I would just hear about things afterwards.
Yeah, like, I would like watch it, like watch all the live coverage. This is back when I was much more of a gamer than I am now, but like I'd watch all the coverage, the different press conferences. There was just a lot of excitement around like, would Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo like win E3? Who had the best press conference? Ubisoft had a conference. EA had a conference. Activision like had a conference. And it was just, there was such a, if you were kind of into the console wars, Sony versus Microsoft versus Nintendo, like who's going to win, who's going to announce the thing, will the next console be announced? Trailers. Yeah, what trailers will be best? And then there's like, all they do at E3 now is show trailers. Where's the gameplay? Like all these things, all this coverage, all these interviews. It was a very hype time to be a gamer. And it was like in the summer. So like school was out and there was just so much to care about. I don't know, with E3. Nowadays, they're right. Like basically it's a lot more individual kind of just events. The company started pulling out like Sony and all them because they realized, well, a Nintendo Direct or a State of Play gets more of our core fan base there watching, and it's a lot cheaper to do.
And you're not competing with other companies in that same like slot.
day. Yeah, I mean that, and like it does cost a lot of money to like probably do E3. You have to those huge installations,
Yeah.
the stage. Another thing too is that it would sometimes rush developers to like have a playable version of their game to show at E3, or like a demo when they weren't necessarily ready. So like if I'm developing this game and I'm not gonna really have a playable version ready until like
Leave Square alone.
well, I mean this is every company, right? Like, and I'm not gonna have a playable version until like September.
We'll show them the developmental build.
Yeah, so that was obviously like a big thing.
It's gonna make it into the game. Who knows?
I'll be sad to see it go. I mean, I'm never really like to cheer on like the death of
Ding
something.
dong, the witch is dead.
Yeah, I know some people hated E3, of course. Like some people probably just
How could you
dislike-
hate it?
I don't think it. This gets a bit meta. I don't think that it's that they actually hated it. I think it's kind of that internet thing where we believe we're supposed to hate it.
Oh.
Like it's like, not we as in me. Like I don't just like E3. I think it was great, but people just they get into their bag where it's just like E3 sucks now and it's dying and it's dead. Like good,
Bang,
haha. Like you fell off. Like where people kind of cheer on the demise of a thing just because it got too corporate, or it got too this, or they weren't any good games anyway, or just whatever reasons. So yeah, sometimes people get pretty they kind of will cheer on the demise of these things, but I don't think that's a very good thing to do.
Speaking of people cheering on games, both demise and the rise, the Game Awards happened, didn't they?
It did. The Game Awards were last week. It's one of the events that many people feel kind of has replaced E3, since it's got a lot of game announcements and.
I heard that
stuff.
it might have been more game announcement than award show.
Yeah, that's what they say. So, I do not follow the Game Awards. I don't play enough games, I think, for the awards to mean very much.
Hey, Master Duel could have won ongoing game.
That would have been fun if it did.
It was
actually.
not nominated.
Yeah, it wasn't. Cyberpunk won, right?
It won for some reason.
An award that I think is a little shoehorned.
Because, look, I love Cyberpunk. I love the DLC. I think they did a great job saving the game. But calling it an ongoing game felt like you took the definition and just
really stretched it.
Yeah.
I think that their goal was just to find some way to acknowledge Cyberpunk because its launch was so awful, but it's made a nice kind of return through its DLC. Mm-hmm. But it's also too late to be nominated for anything, so they were like, we'll just kind of squeak it in here. Baldur's Gate 3, I heard, won Game of the Year. Congratulations, never played it.
I heard that you can have strange sex in that game, so I'm not surprised.
That probably helped a lot of people like it more. I know
there was something about a bear. I think there was a bear.
I know that many people had
the animal, not the type of person.
Moving on from this, I want to talk about having sex with the bear. No, but I know that there were like debates about what game should have won Game of the Year, did it didn't deserve it. I don't care about any of those things. What I do care about though is the fact that people were not happy. You know why they weren't happy outside of the fact that their favorite game didn't win something? Was actually because the show was more announcements than actual awards, like you said. There was a picture that went pretty viral that was like basically the giant teleprompter that people who are accepting awards on stage saw, and they only got 30 seconds for their acceptance speech, and after 30 seconds passed, a prompt would show up that said, "Please wrap it up."
Like, wrap it
and they're like,
up.
"Hurry up, we're
They didn't get out the giant cane to yank them off the stage.
Well,
like
they used music
character.
instead, because after a few
they
seconds of
play you
that, then some music starts playing to let you know that we're moving on to the next thing. The Game Awards were last night. That's what this article says. Obviously, they weren't last night. And while the ceremony is meant to celebrate the best games of the year, it's getting a lot of backlash for a perceived lack of respect for the developers that actually make said games. One of the major points of criticism is the short amount of time winning devs were given in their speeches being told to, quote, wrap it up via the teleprompter after about 1 minute, or in some cases 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
With music being played shortly after.
If I win an award, just me shouting out people is going to take 30 seconds.
As many noted, this stood in especially stark contrast to the time that was devoted to the celebrities and special guests.
Oh, did they? Who was there? I didn't actually see the Game Awards.
A lot of celebrities. By IGN's estimations, the time spent on the awards and speeches was only about 30 minutes and 42 seconds out of the total 2-hour and 52-minute runtime of the show.
Woo!
This year's Game... Oh, this is someone from Twitter. This year's Game Awards is an embarrassing indictment of a segment of the industry's desperation for validation via star power, with little respect for the devs it's supposed to be honoring.
Who are these stars?
I know they had a bunch of celebrities. I don't know.
I'm just gonna Google it real quick.
Yeah, look up like who the celebrities were. But yeah, I mean, basically, I know that like they were like movie actors, I believe, and
okay, it seems that they had Matthew McConaughey, Anthony Mackie, Simu Lee, Timothy Chalamet, and the Muppet Gonzo.
Yeah. One moment that's been called out as particularly unfortunate is from a speech at the end of the evening where when Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year. In a video, they show like the please wrap it up thing as it flashed in the teleprompter right as director Sven Vink was paying tribute to late Baldur's Gate 3 lead cinematic artist Jim Southworth. So this is an artist who passed away during development, and he was honoring him in his speech. And then they said, "Yeah, please wrap it up."
That's all well and nice, but
the music cut him off. Yeah, get out. We got more to do.
Matthew McConaughey is coming.
We've got more trailers.
Like
we've got more trailers to show.
So, I was fine with the Game Awards. The idea of the Game Awards having a lot of trailers, and so they kind of cut down on the awards part for the trailers. I mean, that lines up. I don't understand. Like, I would hope that they didn't cut down on the awards recipient speeches to make room for moments with these celebrities who are tangential to gaming at best.
Yes, yeah, I mean, that was what a lot of people didn't like. There was some like Japanese developers who would give speeches, and like they had translators. So obviously, within 30 seconds, that's just not going to work.
They have half that amount of time, essentially.
And what makes the criticism all the more intense is the incredible rough year the games industry has had, with numerous major layoffs, reports of poor working environments, and much more. Many were hoping that the awards might acknowledge these layoffs, but there wasn't one mention of them, either in Keeley's opening remarks or throughout the weekend. So,
I will say it doesn't necessarily feel like a celebration in the game industry if you're kind of ignoring a part of it or a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of one of these things where the Game Awards are... So I didn't watch that much of the Game Awards this year. I watched a fair bit of it last year because like they were giving away the Steam Deck, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be cool. Maybe I can like win one." You had to like be watching and be in chat.
I had the stream open, and I just left it alone.
But I think with like these Game Awards, it does feel like they're kind of more concerned with like the star power thing. Like we got celebrities here, we got important people, trailers, as opposed to celebrating the games.
Is that their way of emulating the Academy Awards? Because I know think so. During like the Oscars and stuff, they'll take out time to talk to the celebrities in attendance, but that's also because the celebrities in attendance are actors and very relevant to what's being celebrated.
Yeah. So, funny story, I've actually been following Jeff Keighley. Like, he's the guy who kind of hosts this thing and puts it all together. I've been following him for many, 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 many years. Like, I used to watch back
you're
when
a
he
Keighley
was
stan.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan of his, but I've been watching games content that he was a part of since, or at least for the last, 15 years. I know he's been in the industry for much longer than even that. But, I used to watch, Game Trailers was this website that used to exist, and he, had some shows and stuff on that. So, I'm happy for him to be able to make this, something as big as the Game Awards, but it does feel like it's trying to be like the Academy Awards or something that's very mainstream and looks for its validation in having mainstream celebs rather than just being like a game show. And I'm not going to lie, I think for the vast majority of people watching this, that stuff just comes across as cringe and out of touch.
It feels shoehorned in. I mean, maybe if a celebrity did mocap or did voice work for a prominent game, I would say sure. Give them a
Cyberpunk
moment.
had a lot of those.
Yeah, Cyberpunk had I forgot his name.
There's a few.
John Wick.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. If they want to take out time to interview Keanu Reeves, it makes perfect sense.
But yeah, I think that just having kind of generic celebrities there.
All right, you're not gonna call Timothy Chalamet generic.
No, he's not
to my face.
Like,
I don't even care about it.
No, I mean I'm a fan. Like I'm a fan of like the people. Like I don't have anything against them. I just don't think that this is like the place. It's the Game Awards. Most people don't care about like celebrities at the Game Awards.
That's true. Like, but maybe they those two things aren't related. You know, maybe they cut down on times for the trailers. You know.
I mean, I think that was another thing. Some people were kind of excited with some of the trailers. Others were maybe not as much so.
But I mean, with E3 shutting down and us democratizing kind of how these games get spotlighted and shown, the trailers have to go somewhere.
Yeah, so cool. Let us know what you guys thought of the Game Awards. Again, I don't have like any opinions really on like the games that did it and win, since that's not really the basis of the story here. But
Spider-Man 2 didn't get Game of the Year. Okay, that's last. All I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Congrats to the games that won.
Congrats to the games that didn't.
I played Final Fantasy 14. That was at least nominated for Best Ongoing Game. So that's cool. I've been playing Sonic.
It got snubbed just like Spider-Man did.
I've been playing Sonic Superstars, but that did not win Family Game of the Year. So, yeah.
But my next story is tangentially related to the Game Awards.
All right, let's hear it.
Because this comes from a trailer that was supposed to debut at the Game Awards, but it didn't because it leaked.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, I'm talking about GTA 6.
Okay.
So, in the GTA 6 trailer, there's a moment where you can see this guy. He's tattooed and painted up as like the Joker ripoff, essentially. He's got lots of tattoos. People call him the Joker. Well, you know how those implied TikToks in game or recreations of real events? Mm-hmm. So was that Joker in game. So Florida Joker demands $2 million from Rockstar Games for using his likeness in GTA 6.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay.
Lawrence Sullivan, also known as the Florida Joker, has demanded up to $2 million from Rockstar Games for using his likeness. The Florida Joker took to the social media platform TikTok to call out Rockstar. He also called out those who had told him he's hallucinating regarding the Joker character in GTA 6 being based on him calling them wrong. He showed a side-by-side visual comparison between the character and himself and said with certainty that the former is based on him.
Okay.
And see, I saw a picture. I don't know if it's actually attached to this article. But I saw a picture when this story came out. That was actually like sometime this weekend. Here we go. I'm going to show it to you, Paul.
Cool. I'll try to put it in.
And there might be something here.
Yeah, there's definitely a resemblance for sure.
It's not a one-to-one.
It's not, but the inspiration's there. I mean, I think, like, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, like, I can't, I don't know his history. I don't know, like, what Rockstar's intentions and stuff were. But I do think it would be kind of humorous, maybe a little amusing, if Rockstar, like, I think that a lot of the people who were, like, featured in that trailer could probably claim something.
But I also think
maybe.
But I do think Rockstar knew what they were doing, and I think they made a choice to make sure these characters are different from the real people.
Different enough that it's not like using their likeness.
But it might be up to a court to decide.
Yeah, it might come down to a court's decision. Because I mean, even like the girl twerking on the car or whatever, or like the guy with the alligator or something. That was fun. Yeah. Like, I mean, they might be able to get a penny out of Rockstar if they wanted to claim that sort of thing.
Only if a jury and a judge agrees. And I think Rockstar, they did this. They knew the legal implications, and they were pretty careful about it. They probably, I think the Joker and others don't really have a case, but they might. They might.
But, like, who knows,
Yeah, and I feel like if you don't have $1 million, this might be your closest chance to get some, you know?
Yeah, might as well try. Hey, cool.
But I wish the Joker and Rockstar luck in their endeavors. I hope they reach a settlement. I like to see a man get paid, but I also don't want to see Rockstar have to like pay a lot of money. So let's meet in the middle here, all right?
Yeah, I mean, they'll be making a lot of money when the game comes out.
That's true. They'll make way more than that.
Fine. Cool. That's all the stories I've got.
And I'm wrapped up too.
Awesome. So I think that's a good time then for us
to dig in the
Draw
pot.
A couple of cards from the pot of greed. Here, I'll go to shake this time.
All right. What kind of shake is that? You gotta like, come on, you gotta tilt it upside down.
Just destroy the
All
pot.
you did was move the cards around. Like, you didn't even like.
I mean, what
they
else are
didn't
you supposed
shuffle.
to do? Move them around.
Like, they just like shifted left and right. You didn't actually.
Okay, well, I've got my card. Okay.
Fine. I'm gonna go ahead and just give it the real work.
I've
There
drawn.
we go. All right, I got. Oh, that's a blank card.
Whoa, someone wasn't
Oh,
writing
that's a
their
blank card.
questions on the cards.
Wait. Aha, got one. I got one this time. Okay. What you got, Paul?
Okay, so my question asks, other card games on the main channel, question mark. I guess this person's asking, will we ever do it, or why don't we do it, or something like that.
We can answer all those things, really.
So
It's not that we're just like steadfast. We'll never upload a video about another card game on the main channel. It's just we haven't found a video that we want to make with another card game on the main channel.
Yeah, I mean, that might honestly be the nicer way of putting it. I think the more harsh reality of it is that YouTube's pretty rough. Like, if you upload videos that people don't watch and they tank, it can really hurt your channel. And unfortunately, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players don't watch non-Yu-Gi-Oh videos. I think that applies to almost any niche, really. But, it's tough getting Yu-Gi-Oh players to watch a video about even Pokemon or like Magic, or let alone smaller or more niche card games like a Digimon or a Lorcana or something, or a Vanguard. And I know that there are people who do want to see that, but a thing you learn pretty quickly as a YouTuber is people will say they want to see a lot of things.
But that's a vocal minority.
But it's oftentimes a vocal minority. And the moment that you upload it and it gets, very poor views, no one's going to really run to your aid. Like, the people who want to see it, sure, maybe they'll watch it, but, it's difficult to justify doing that when so much is oftentimes at stake in terms of like YouTube's algorithm and stuff. You can't upload too many kind of like bombing videos in a row, or else it'll just hurt your whole channel and all that. So
it's a very difficult thing to do. We'll say.
Yeah, it's tough. It does remind me though about like I saw like of some VTubers on Twitter who were discussing a kind of similar topic.
Who you follow?
Well, I don't actually follow too many VTubers. I follow like Nova Riveri and a few others. I follow like Rosemary Lovelock, because we collab with them. But these were just some other VTubers who do like Yu-Gi-Oh. There are a lot of VTubers who play Master Duel.
Right.
And, since it's come out. And a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players, like kind of just your regular core, kind of just online Yu-Gi-Oh players, don't actually know about like VTubers who play Master Duel. For most VTubers, it's just their own innate audiences that watch them play Master Duel. But a lot of VTubers, or some of them were saying, and others were agreeing, that it's kind of difficult to justify playing Master Duel as a VTuber and like super duper doubling down on that audience because they do not watch anything else.
Yeah.
And so that's why they kind of found it hard to want to only play Master Duel. Because Yu-Gi-Oh players have a thing. And be honest with yourself if you're listening and you're like a Yu-Gi-Oh player, where, the moment that another game, whether that's card game or just other game, kind of enters the picture, if you're not interested in it, you just don't watch it. I'm not saying that's unreasonable, right? I don't watch things that I think it's play just, or like.
It's just how it is.
But for a lot of VTubers, they're variety gamers.
They want to be variety
almost all the time. Like, they play some Master Duel one day of the week, 1 or 2 days of the week, but they also play completely different game. I'm playing Super Mario Wonder today. I'm playing Spider-Man the next day. Like, they'll play, some visual novel another day.
You named games that didn't win awards, the Game Awards.
Yeah, that's right. So, there's it's tricky, and like Yu-Gi-Oh players, we have the most experience with that, so we can talk about it the most. They don't watch non-Yu-Gi-Oh. It's
very
tend to be
very difficult to get Yu-Gi-Oh players to watch something that's not. So we have to be very careful to experiment with other card games.
Mm-hmm. I would say also, just to finish that one off, if you play Yu-Gi-Oh but would like to see other card game videos, what do you think is the best method of doing that? Because there's a fine balance that has to be met with like making it interesting to a Yu-Gi-Oh player or trying to kind of get them to try out that video so that it, can kind of get surfaced more on YouTube. What would be the best way to do that if anybody is aware? I'm open ears.
And open hearts.
Open hearts.
Time for my question. So if you could design the next Yu-Gi-Oh anime ace monster, what would it be?
Oh man, I'm not very good at these.
Yeah, because it's fairly open. But we do know this, right, Paul? Ace monsters have always been dragons, spellcasters, and warriors.
So would you go away from that trend?
I would. Yeah, I would.
Okay. I think it'd be fun to have like a beast.
Yeah, I was thinking just that. I was kind of thinking, what if we went more Pokemon-esque with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ace monster? What if it were actually some small, cute monster?
Yeah.
That the main character would then like synchro climb or fusion climb up into like its evolved form to make it cooler and more beast-like.
Yeah, that feels very Digimon inspired.
Yes.
For sure. No, that's okay.
I think that is that's how I would design the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Ace monster. Because I think we've gotten really busy with our designs. Mm-hmm. I think like Decode Talker is kind of fine, but I look at Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon as an example of what are we doing? Like
yeah.
We've done everything with dragons and now we made this.
I think that like they should kind of go for more animalistic designs. Like I would like to see maybe like a tiger versus a wolf type of thing. Mm-hmm. Like the main character uses like a tiger and the antagonist or the rival or something like uses like a wolf. Or maybe like instead of a dragon, let's go with like a dinosaur as the rival's character, and the hero uses, just some, I don't know, like a lizard, right? So it's like a Godzilla reference type of thing. Like I don't know, just something that's, like just not like a dragon versus a kind of guy with armor.
But I really like the idea of an ace monster that evolves kind of in stages. I mean, all ace monsters do that to some degree, but I like it to have that progression from child to adult to like its ultimate form.
See, and then that's where they can bring back the LV mechanic. Because
An
God knows
LV
it's
ace
been,
monster.
Well, God knows the LV thing's been like in need of like kind of a refresh. It's something that Konami should be revisiting.
Every time Konami's had a chance to revisit it, they've chosen to ignore it.
Yeah, they don't want to do that.
The new horror support ignores it.
Yeah, no,
when they
LVs.
retrained Silent Magician and Silent Swordsman, they ignored it for the most part. Like,
I mean, LV as a mechanic, it sadly does not really work. But if there's one thing that we know about Konami, it is that if they want something to work, they can make it really good.
That's true. You take off some once per turns. You don't archetype lock it.
You drain a little personality, and then
give it like some repeatable disruption it can do every single turn.
Yeah, level armed dragon level 10 can negate 10 things per turn. I don't know. Yeah, like I think that the concept would be cool. I think that having a monster evolve as it actually levels up would be cool. And that would be a chance for Konami to bring back LV mechanics without introducing a new extra deck summoning method. God knows you don't need any.
And then something that could be cool, especially with probably would help LVs, maybe if their forms weren't all in the main deck, making them brick and club.
Yeah, they'd probably have to throw them into the extra deck. That would be the big way of doing it.
Maybe make them link monsters or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's not the best thing. I don't know.
Links already exist.
Some mix on links. I don't like them, but
there
could be a fun
anything
way to
else
do it.
will be a subversion of how they work, right? If it's a LV fusion is not really a fusion. An LV synchro is not really a fusion.
That said, there isn't a link monster that has that aesthetic, like just a monster that kind of is the same monster throughout.
Because they could all be Link 1s.
Well, it could be a Link 1, and then the next one's Link 2, and the next one's Link 3, and the next one's Link 4. And like it actually goes all the way up to like Link 6 or something, which is continuing forms like how a Digimon
which would be so obscene.
Well, we already have Link 6 monsters. They're all obnoxious. So.
It's like, but like, what does a Link 6 bring to the table? Like
a lot of arrows.
Because what? You can only really use 3, right? Well, I guess if it's on your main board, you can...
There's something there. I don't know. Okay, well, anywho, let's get into question. For me, though, for that question, I'm just more interested in it not being like a dragon and a guy in armor.
And I want to level
so I'll take whatever. Okay. I noticed Paul plays slower decks, like when I mentioned the decks that I play in Yu-Gi-Oh! I noticed Paul plays slower decks. If that's the case, why do you upload no Edison content? From a fellow Yu-Gi boomer.
Oh, we got into content again. Look at us.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is actually kind of similar to the first question, I guess, in a little bit of a way, which is that as a YouTuber, I had to honestly prioritize views a lot of the time. So it's an unfortunate reality, but that's like the platform that we're on. Edison content is just a little bit more niche.
It's a popular niche.
Yeah, it's a popular niche within like the Yu-Gi-Oh space, but it's just not something that I think could get maybe a huge amount of viewership.
Like, if we did Edison content, it would have to be packaged in a way that reflects it, that like reflects the kind of viewership we expect it to get. Like,
yeah, it's tricky. Now the person's right. I play a lot of kind of more mid-rangey, slower paced decks. In general, I like kind of playing mid-range control style things. So that's certainly that's true. But yeah, it's hard to. I don't know. I don't really know that I would want to do like a load of Edison content. I don't actually find Edison format like that enticing to me. I actually discussed this last week. I've played through Edison format. I was very competitive during.
He was outside back then.
Yeah, I went to regionals and stuff. Like I was doing the thing.
He got his first YCS top then.
Yeah. Okay. But you know, I didn't. I don't know. I don't really think it's something that I want to like really play for content a whole bunch. But what about you? What do you think?
I mean, I like playing Edison for fun. I think Edison's a fun format, but like I look at it a lot like making a speed duel content. There just aren't that many eyes looking for Edison content, and the way that we would make Edison content, I don't think is exactly what that community would desire.
That's another really big problem too. I'm really glad you mentioned it. The way that we kind of typically will make content is such that like we're trying to kind of have fun when we play. And this applies to like honestly so many things that you make. A lot of people aren't like, so I'm trying to think of the best way to like the best words.
Use the worst ones.
The worst words. You all suck. No. So Yu-Gi-Oh's already kind of a niche, right? It's a niche card game. Like card games are niche. Yu-Gi-Oh is a niche within that niche, and then like you could dig it down even deeper. Like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh is even smaller than just the brand of Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, obviously, then in that case, Edison's an even smaller slice of that. But for many people who watch Yu-Gi-Oh videos, they sort of there's like this expectation that like the gameplay needs to be like extremely competitive and perfect.
Right. Yeah.
And we get a lot of comments on many vids where it's like, you know, you misplayed here. Paul could have like this is the number one thing I see so often. Paul could have won here. Paul could have finished off Alec in this duel if he had just done this thing. And no one seems to like stop and think why I maybe didn't do that. Everyone's because like I get it, right? Like if you were at the table at your local card shop in a tournament in that situation, there would be no reason not to finish your opponent off.
You take him out.
Yeah, you would take the opportunity and strike. But it's like, you know, maybe stop for a moment and think, why? Like why didn't I finish Alec off when I had
maybe if you look at the timestamp.
Wrong card. Yeah, and a good hint is look at the video timestamp. Oh, it's like 3 minutes into the duel, I guess I could finish him off, and then the video ends, and that's your video.
Oh, it's turn 3.
You know, it's turn 3. He had the card that, like, sacked the boss monster, and I won, and the video's over. Did you enjoy it? I hope so. And I know, like, for some Yu-Gi-Oh players, it's kind of difficult to separate that, like, optimal, I could have won here thing from just the idea of, like, entertainment and just having a little bit of fun, letting the other guy play, having a back and forth.
Right.
But that's what we so often prioritize in our videos. So I think you're right. It wouldn't. If we did Edison, we would probably be playing it kind of the same way, and then there would be people who are like disgusted that this isn't. It
would be a bit of a disconnect. We'd want to play casual, fun Edison, but I feel like a lot of people who play Edison, they're building the topping list. They're playing competitive Edison. They want to compete in that format. And we just want to mess around with fun synchros and stuff.
And I mean, the thing is, too, like, Edison, by its very definition, actually, is a highly competitive thing. Like, sure, it masquerades as this fun, old-school Yu-Gi-Oh thing, but it's called YCS Edison, like, or it's called Edison format because it's based on like YCS Edison.
Yep.
That was like the cutoff, and it was like a competitive format still. And so there is going to be a bit of an expectation when you play that you will be playing, you know, optimally, and you'll be pushing to innovate and, you know, optimize combos and stuff. And like on video, and this applies to all of Yu-Gi-Oh, not just old formats. On video, you'll quickly realize competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content actually isn't very fun to like just watch in video because it ends fast.
And it can be uninteractive and not very interesting. I was playing Edison in the shop just last week. A friend and I were playing Edison, and we were having a good time. Well, I was having a good time. You know why? Mm-hmm. Because I hit my opponent with, I was playing Gadgets, I should be clear. I was playing Gadgets, a very slow controlling deck. My opponent was playing this really cool Ojama Synchro like combo deck. And that was nice. And then I hit him with, forgot the name of the card.
Oppression.
Yep, I hit him with Royal Oppression.
Yeah.
Where I could just negate all types of special summons for 800 life points. And I just did not let him summon a thing.
Yeah, and it's very similar to why people maybe don't like Vanity's Emptiness or Max C or Floodgates or whatever. You know, like, the thing is, if that was like a duel that we were doing,
we would not be running Oppression, even though it was a relevant card in that format.
Yeah, exactly. Or if we were running Oppression, I would like negate one thing and then choose to not negate the next few things. Mm-hmm. And then maybe negate one more thing after that. Because at the end of the day, like, that's not, and to me, that is not like a fulfilling, entertaining duel for YouTube. Yeah. It's fine for locals. I want to win fast. I'll play the broken card and win. But like, would that be something that, and if you're listening, I want a genuine answer. Like, some people maybe want to see that. They want to see like these blowout wins. But then, I mean, if the video's over in 2 minutes, like, and that's just, I don't know that that's really.
I mean, after that game, like, I was like, that wasn't very fun at all. I'm never going to run that deck playing Edison friendlies with people who actually just want to play just a simple friendly game. Never doing that again. I will find a more casual way to play an Edison deck. It won't be one of the topping lists. It will lack some powerful cards. Looking at you, Oppression. And you know, that's just gonna have to be how that goes. And I don't think a lot of Edison enjoyers will be happy with that.
Yeah, so long-winded way of saying that it is sometimes I'm probably not going to like make much Edison content, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because of the expectations around it.
Oh, I need to grab a card.
Anyway, your final cards.
This time I'll get one with a note. There we go.
Hurry and draw it before it's banned.
We have... How many archetypes can you fit in a deck and still call it, like, still name the deck after that archetype?
Oh, yeah, this is an age-old one. Or not age-old, but, like, probably within the last 10 years, it's become increasingly debated.
How decks are, like, alphabet soup as far as you just take the name of every archetype in the deck and you just slam it together.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I mean, I don't care for it because those are typically... Not always, but typically like combo decks that go crazy, and I don't like those decks. I'm not a fan. I'm not good at them.
Nor am I. I mean, I'll be frank about it. I honestly do not care a lot for pile decks in Yu-Gi-Oh. Mm-hmm. I think that on the surface, there's a lot of innovation to be had there. It's fun to experiment with different types, and it's fun to combine them and create new things. Very exciting. However, I don't. What?
It's the way you looked while saying that. Very exciting.
Yes, I know. I mean, I get it. Like, that is part of the sales pitch, right? Mm-hmm. It's a game where you can make your own deck, and like you can combine lots of different things, come up with cool, new, fun strategies. However, I'm not gonna lie, man. Sometimes I get on Master Duel, and like these decks will go through like 8 different engines, and it's still their first turn, and like we've been here for a while, and like their inboard is just. It's like six different monsters that just all have these like obnoxious effects, and it's like, okay, we're like by engine 5, I think we can stop now.
But I do think it's, at least from my perspective, I think it's a little unfair because I only hate pile decks when they're combo decks.
Right. Yeah.
Cause see, I like them when they're more mid range or control. Like I like the hat deck.
Yeah, I think that those
Hands,
sorts of hybrids.
artifacts, trap tricks. I like that deck.
I think another one that I really like was like the Invoke Shadal Dogmatica kind of thing. It was much more of like a mid range. It was a hybrid of like 3 different engines, but it wasn't, super oppressive or anything. And that's probably my, old schooly Yugi boomer, whatever you want to call it.
I'll just call it player preference.
Yeah,
you don't have to call yourself old because I'm older.
Okay. Well, it's my player preference coming out. That's selfish. I'm not saying it's like based in some rationality. I'm not seeking to have my mind changed and argue about it. I'm just saying that when I have to face 9 different engines in one combo, I'm ready to turn Master Duel off.
You've killed 4 different engines, and you've used up your last hand trap, and then, what is it? Boot sector launch.
Yeah, then the next little engine shows up, and it leads into another. Okay, now I'm going to say one more thing about it. Because this is probably closer to what the person maybe intended for with their question, I'm assuming, is like this whole... It's a little deceptive when someone's like interested in a deck and they see that deck topped a YCS, but in reality, that deck did not top... Like, okay.
It was an end... It's like with all the Diabell Star decks.
Yeah.
That they only use like 4 or 5 like Sinful Spoil cards.
Yeah, and that applies to so many archetypes. I mean, like, I've just seen people, like, add in the word, like, this is something, Burning Abyss. Because it's really a Phantom Knight / Infernoble / whatever deck that happens to run, like, 1 Skarm and 1, like, whatever the other Burning,
Does it even run Dante?
One like, Seer, and Dante's not even in there. It just run, It's like I could call my Drytron deck a Burning Abyss deck because Beatrice is in there. Like, I see how, like, if you're sort of looking to, like, see, oh, like, this deck won or this deck did well, I want to know a list about it. And then, like, you get on the list and then, like, it's nothing there.
But, I mean, there's also kind of a necessary part to that. Because you want to name the deck as accurately as possible, especially when you want to highlight what's different about this deck versus another deck that would be similar. Yeah. So you include the names of the important engines in the deck, just so people know what all to expect.
Yeah.
But you...
So I think it can make it a little bit, I guess, deceptive if you're searching for a pure version of that deck. But you're right that they're just... You can't blame them for just labeling what's in the deck. So
but
that's
technically
not
there
fault.
are cards from those archetypes in the deck. It's just...
Yeah, so it's kind of this, like, tug of war, I guess, between, like, innovation and, like, maybe tradition a little bit.
And then the very vagueness of deck naming. Like, Konami's never enforced much of anything when it comes to, like, naming your deck.
It's just kind of...
You can't name anything inappropriate.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of...
That's it.
You're just labeling a lot of archetypes, so...
Like, really, I'm surprised no one's ever... Someone's probably done this, but you fill out your deck list, and let's say you made a Shadal deck, and in the part for deck name, you just write just a completely different archetype's name up there.
Actually, I don't even think that there is a slot for deck name in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Is there not?
No, you must be thinking of another game.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have a slot for that.
I thought we did have deck names.
No originality allowed in this game. Sorry. No personality whatsoever.
So who's deciding these deck names?
Just the Konami, like, staff people, the judges who are, like, writing up deck lists. They just kind of
see
I'm
thinking of, like, maybe you're thinking like a YGO Pro deck and stuff. Websites where you do get to upload decks.
I mean, in Master Duel, you can name your deck. You can name it all kinds of crazy stuff, but
like, your
opponent won't see that.
There's no rules or rhyme or reason to deck naming. Yeah. You can name your deck Twilight Sparkle. That's a pony, right? Yeah, you can name it Twilight Sparkle, and it could be a Drytron deck. I don't know, like.
Yeah, I think it brings me back to the. There's like one skit where he made like a joke about like, oh, like, I want to play a Blue Eyes deck, and you look up a Blue Eyes deck profile or combo video, and like the inboard has no Blue Eyes monsters. All the Blue Eyes were there for was to like be part of one aspect of the combo, but it still calls itself a Blue Eyes deck, and so now it's kind of like. People walk away a little bit dissatisfied or they feel betrayed.
I'm surprised there isn't some type of a naming scheme for decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, given how long this game has been around. But
I mean, I guess no one would get like who has the right to
make
there's
rules? The only person who could mandate something like that would be Konami, and they just don't.
And they don't give two shits.
They just don't.
Konami doesn't care what you call your deck. They just want you to play and buy some cards. So, unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it happens. Or maybe I shouldn't even say the word unfortunately. Like, I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah, what, yeah, as they say.
Yeah.
Now, as far as, you know, what do I think is the personal limit? Since that's kind of what the question is. 3, maybe. Like, I think that once you have more than like 3 different archetypes in there, you're probably just.
But they named the card the deck's Diabell Star, but they only ever run 1 or 2 copies.
But she's everything. I don't know. Whatever. That you guys could let me know what you think about that. I've made my stance clear. I don't like 10 engine pile decks. That's all I require, please, Master Duel.
I think you should name your deck whatever archetype has the most cards in it.
That's probably a good actual way to look at it too. Well, anyways, I think that's it for the Pot of Greed questions.
Yep, those were our 2 cards.
Thank you all for joining us this week. Hopefully you had a lot of fun. Be sure, as always, to drop a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube, or a 5-star review would be certainly appreciated over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Google.
And shout out to everybody who's in the premiere, who've made it to this point.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Remember that you can submit any questions or topics or stories in the Google form linked below as well.
And you might see them or hear about them from our pod itself.
That is right. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Pass turn.